on the mic. There you go. That works too. We're
Welcome
not
back.
Stomp. We're Stump.
Where is your boy tonight? I hope he is a gentleman. What's wrong with us today?
I don't know.
To am I the asshole? I don't know if you even said that. I really don't know. Okay. Yeah, well,
I never
welcome
do,
back
though.
nonetheless.
So for your benefit, I never do. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Yep.
We're just on it.
We're switching it up.
We do what we can. We do what we can. We hope
Yep.
you all are having a wonderful weekend,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful week, wonderful holiday season.
Yep.
It's still a very lousy year for us over here. So we're not changing anything up. We're still going full speed. So we greatly appreciate everybody who's tuned in. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. Stay up to date on all things lousy. Join the lousy listeners. But for all the lousy listeners who've been here, you know what's coming next.
Yep. What's
It's time for an ad read.
You were winding up for that one.
I was, yes. Y'all already know what's up. It's Into the AM. We are partnered with them, bringing you all some dope clothing items, from shirts to hats to pants to shorts to draws. You name it, they've got it. They've got an amazing deal going, I believe, right now. This is the last time we can tell you this.
There's one more day after
literally
today.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is the last day. So if you haven't yet, go to intotheam.com/lousy. 60%, up to 60%. I did it one more time. Fuck. Up to 60% off the entire site.
Yes.
Until tomorrow. And if
Yes.
you use our code lousy at checkout, an extra 10% on top of that. So make sure, go to our link in the description or the pinned comment, click it, get some dope stuff.
It's the very last time.
Literally the last time. I don't know what we're going to do after this.
I don't know. We're gonna find something. But just like Sam said, link in the description and the pinned comment, intotheam.com/lousy. Go get you some dope clothing. Do it right now.
I'm wearing this dope hoodie and this dope hat. You should get it. He's wearing that dope shirt. Yep. And the dope draws.
Yep. I was wearing my hoodie earlier.
Yeah.
It's cold here.
Yeah. I saw your weather over there. It's
brisk.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Go do that in the description and pin comment intotheam.com/lousy. And also in the description, you'll see the link to our Discord. If you would like to do so, join us in the Discord. Come show off all the cool stuff you got. We would love to see it. And we'll give you a shout out on the show. Just as a thanks, because we appreciate it. You're supporting us to keep the lights on. So it's the least we can do to thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And it's not mandatory. So those of you who have bought without even doing that, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
But we cannot stress enough. One more day, go get you some goat deals. Yeah, absolutely. It works. Still works.
Yep.
Some goat deals. Some dope deals right now. Intotheam.com/lousy. Let's get into the juice.
Yep. The juice is loose.
Before we do that, have I sent you the reel?
You sent me a lot of reels today. Let's be fair.
I do send you one.
Yeah. We're on a
There's a particular
19-day
reel.
streak on TikTok as well. I don't know if you saw.
We are, yes.
Yeah.
So there's a reel. It's Beetlejuice like rising again, and he's like, "The juice is loose." But the caption says, "When your kid smacks you on the foot at 3 a.m. when you're in bed, and as their floor is filled with diarrhea."
Oh, yeah.
The juice is loose.
I'm getting a vasectomy. No, I'm just kidding.
Same. Wait.
Anyway.
Sam,
you know what some people have to do to get a vasectomy, Joe?
this is the worst segue ever, but what, Sam?
Sometimes you got to travel a little bit. And that's our topic for today.
I hate this.
I am indifferent.
That's right. Today is all about traveling. It's the holiday season, so you're probably, if you're not staying home, that means you're probably traveling to go see friends or family. And yeah, this is we felt like it was like a proper time and commonplace for us to discuss the assholery of traveling. So
Yep.
that's what we're doing today. But
We've
before
kinda
we even get into the stories,
Am I counting it off? Or are you?
yeah,
counting?
go ahead. Go ahead.
You ready?
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Can't be mad. He got me on that one.
I don't even know where we're at right now. As far as
I thought about going
score.
paper. Oh, you're way ahead of me right now.
I know I'm ahead. I just don't know exactly how far. But
I can tell you as of, hold on. I can actually tell you, as of the last time, I updated our scores.
which would be one behind. And I think you won the last one, if I remember correctly. But
You are, I believe I won last week. So I can't remember on that one.
I'm pretty sure you did.
So you're up by 5 now.
Okay.
31-26.
So I'm good for the rest of the year if I lose out. So 2024 champ, looking at him. Right.
Oh, we're doing yearly? Okay, I didn't even know that.
We are now.
That's crazy because I'm pretty sure I would almost be certain to say 31 plus 26 is a lot more than 54 weeks in a year, 52 weeks. Either way.
Yeah, that's 57.
So
you don't need to think about. Well, I think you started tallying before the year, so we might need to do a count because that's back when you were dominant. So we might be neck and neck for the year. We'll look it up at some point. But anyway, we don't need to waste these people's time with such trivial matters.
said the guy who's in the lead. I will chop you down. All right, Sam, we got 4 stories keyed up. You're going
As
first.
always. Yep.
Yes.
And for the first one, am I the asshole for telling my parents I can't keep calling them Ubers for all their travels? My older parents expect that I either pick them up or call them Ubers whenever they leave or come back from vacation. This is especially true when they travel and they expect drop-off or pickups from their holidays regardless of what time their flight is. For example, if their flight is at 6 a.m., they expect me to wake up at 4 a.m. just to call them an Uber. Despite having work in the morning at 9 a.m., I'm assuming. Now they've come back arriving at 12:30 a.m., waking me up again, and I have work the next day to call them an Uber, so clearly I'm peeved. And told them moving forward they need to have their own accountant sort out their travel arrangements. So Reddit, am I the asshole? I'm assuming we'll probably want these additional infos for this.
Let's hold off on that for a moment. We'll get to those in just a second because the context in which I'm seeing in there may allude to a different outcome.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
I let's just call this for what it is. We grew up in a different time period in which technology has been a major boom for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been able to keep up with a lot of the advances, I would say. Especially with, telecommunications and such. The generation before us, and I'm trying to put my words together a bit more structured instead of just saying, okay, boomer. The generation that came before us was well established in their habits and their ways before the technological boom happened. Much like it is for certain things that come out today, I think that we are a bit more malleable in our generation. I know everyone likes to rag on millennials, but I think the millennial generation is probably the most malleable generation when it comes to being able to fit in things like a puzzle piece kind of situation.
Like bridge the gap from boomers to Gen Zs,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. So I don't think we would ever really run into this issue, but I can say, especially working in telecommunications, as long as you have, working in just in customer facing markets, as long as we have, the previous generation does not always hone in well to the technological undertaking, if you will. However, that does not mean we are required to be their fucking computer AI, secretary at all times. If you don't know how to fucking work Uber, call a fucking taxi.
They do still exist.
They do.
They do.
100%.
Depends on where you live, of course. If you're out kind of in a weirder spot, but typically if it's from an airport, you can get a taxi. It might be expensive, but you can get a taxi.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, you're going to be paying just as much for an Uber.
Yep.
So if you don't want to go through the understanding and learning of how to use the Uber app or Uber in general, or, how to hail a taxi on Uber, we'll just say it that way. It's not anybody else's requirement. Like, I know for me, if someone wanted to learn, I'd be like, I'll teach you how to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the age old adage, give a man a fish, feed him for a day.
Yep.
Teach a man a fish, feed him for a lifetime. You teach him how to do something, or teach them how to do something, lifetime. Done.
Yeah.
Easy. Cool. Sweep it under the rug. This is one of those situations to me where, like, you standing your ground and telling them you're not doing it anymore. Love it. Absolutely love it. Not the asshole.
Yeah, I have to agree. I by proxy just recently went through this. My wife was trying to coordinate her parents coming up here to visit from Texas to the PNW, and they are not comfortable driving, flying, anything really, and have just kind of refused to learn certain things, like Uber, for example. We don't resort to Uber, fortunately, but they live in a smaller town. They're like an hour away from the major airport. There is a regional airport right next to them, that they can get to, but flying out of there means a connecting flight automatically. Like, there's no direct flights from where they're at to up here. And so at one point, her mom was trying to say, well, get us an Uber for this hour and a half drive. And they're leaving, the flight leaves, I think, at 6 a.m. So they'd have to leave at like 2 to get there by 4.
To be safe, yes.
To be there in time, because it's going to be holiday travel, because it's like right before Christmas time. So we were like, no, you're flying out of your regional airport and getting the connecting flight. And so I relate to OP. Now, I don't like, we've never, if they do fly somewhere and it's convenient, we're perfectly fine picking them up, but they don't ever demand that we do. So I think that might be the slight distinction here between my personal experience and OP's personal experience, at least based off of the post here. But yeah, everything that you just said is 100% true. Like, if they can't figure it out, that's not your responsibility. That's their ignorance.
Yeah.
And so they're either going to have to learn the hard way or call a very expensive taxi.
Well, so. I'd like to liken it to this too. Just the thought of learning that is where you and I come from. You remember back, I never had to really fly anywhere. I could drive to all the destinations I was going to. It wasn't until I started working on the West Coast that I really had to start like getting Ubers and such, and like getting comfortable with Ubering around and whatnot. And even then it was a learning experience, but you still took the time. I still took the time to learn it. You still got to take that time to learn it and understand it. And I think that's kind of like an asterisk to the generational thing, is like some people of our generation still to this day probably don't know or even want to know how to operate Uber, but you should still, like, if you need it, you should still learn it.
Yeah.
Requiring somebody else be your taxi is asinine to me.
That's not already a taxi service. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The other thing too is what my wife and I do all the time is we'll just park at the airport. Like, yeah, it costs money, but so does an Uber. The Uber is going to be extra expensive coming from an airport, regardless if you're only 20 minutes away. It's going to be at least $50. Like, there's really no way around that. There's always going to be that airport surcharge.
Yep.
So like, why not just park and just do it yourself so you don't have to worry about it?
Shit, I'd be paying for that dope parking. You know what I'm saying? That really nice, like covered.
Not here. That shit's like $30 a day for garage parking. I'm like, no, I'll take the outside $8 a day parking.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous at this airport. But anyway, I digress. I 100% agree. Not the asshole, based off of the initial part. Should we say Reddit first, or should we do
read the
okay.
Well, yeah, go ahead. So Reddit agrees.
Yep.
Not the asshole. However, there is edit to add.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So yeah, edit/info, adding in some info, as some have been asking similar questions. My parents are in their 60s. They are old, but they aren't elderly. I have tried teaching them tech before, i.e. wireless printers, phone apps, TVs. They are tech adverse. They just rather have someone else just do it for them or come up with reasons they can't, such as what if someone gets my credit card or they hack us. Pre-scheduling an Uber doesn't work for them. They are not timely people. Pre-scheduling an Uber doesn't work well with them, and they risk showing up late, and I'll end up getting charged for a late pickup. Pre-scheduled Ubers also don't work well with arrivals, as flight delays, disembarking, customs, baggage claim, and the time for them getting to the pickup point is pretty much up in the air. Their reasons for not getting taxis are they are much more expensive than the average Uber. I don't mind picking them up or ordering an Uber for them at a reasonable time, but these late night/early mornings absolutely wreck my sleep. It can take me over an hour to fall back asleep once woken up, and I know I cannot function 100% in the morning. So yeah, that's all just extra evidence as to the not the asshole argument there. That's basically just their refusal to adapt to the times, being classic boomers and being like, well, you just do it for me and we won't have a problem.
Yeah.
Which is all we ever dealt with in telecom. And I'm so glad to be gone.
Yep. No, this is telltale. Like, I was hoping that maybe it was them just like, oh, I don't want to learn it. No, they're just like, I'm not doing it. It's, look, it's unfortunate, but it's true. A large majority of the prior generations don't want to learn that. And I say a large majority because that's just what we've seen. Everybody, you could sit there and I know I've gotten bitched at before by the comments of, well, you claim everybody and if we're a large majority. No, it's a large majority is a large majority in this situation. We've all seen it.
Yep.
If it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, it ain't a damn dog. Like, this is a prime situation where they're refusing to learn, causing somebody else to have to then sacrifice for their untimeliness.
Yep.
So now you're not only being lazy, you're being rude, you're being what's the word I'm looking for?
Selfish.
Yeah, selfish. Selfish works. You're being selfish because you don't care. Well, we could take our time at baggage claim. Cool. Let's get on now. Oh, yeah, come pick us up. Oh, you gotta be working 9 a.m. You should get some sleep. I know that in context, but still, when you're under that.
We've
but nonetheless,
things. So,
we've said our piece.
Yep. Let's read some comments. Yep.
Comments it is. First comment here, not the asshole. If they're competent enough to travel for vacation and navigate an airport, they can learn how to call an Uber. I think you need to show them how and then tell them you'll no longer do it. This is where those extra comments come in. Yeah. So as we've already seen, they don't want to.
So that got a little kind of related story there. So same trip that my in-laws are taking. My wife is actually going to be there 2 weeks before. And so she said, we literally just talked to them today. So she was like, I'm going to take you to the airport and show you what you need to do to park at the airport. Because they've never parked at that airport in the 30 years they've lived there. Maybe 40. I don't know exactly how long, but it's at least as old as my wife. So, like, they've never parked at that airport. And so they have no idea what to do. And so she's going to actually show them. And if they can't figure it out, that's on them. So, because I mean, we're thousands of miles away. There's no way we can just do it for them. So,
Yep.
Next comment here. I pre-schedule Ubers all the time, hours or days ahead, which we've already kind of covered. Why
I hate to say it.
Yep.
I think a lot of these comments are going to be based on the previous edits.
Yeah.
Or based before the previous edits. So I say we call it on this one, move on.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing more we can really add on that one.
Yep. Moving on.
All right. Am I the asshole for not letting my friends stay over at my house when they travel to visit and refusing to pay for their hotel? Okay. I, 25 female, have friends, a couple that moved a while back to another state because of college and decided to stay there even after graduating. We keep contact via texting and video calls, but we've never seen each other face to face since they had moved. They decided to travel to the city I live in so we can spend time together. We'd all chosen a lot of things to do in the 2 weeks they're supposed to spend here. The conflict is that I don't want them to stay at my apartment, like sleep there overnight while they're here. But they don't have family or other friends in the state or close by that they can stay with, which means they'd have to pay for a hotel. A day ago when they arrived, we were talking and I asked them which hotel they picked. They were confused and Anna, 26 female, asked what I meant. They thought they were going to stay at my apartment with me. We hadn't discussed where they would stay before they came here, and I assumed they knew they were going to stay at a hotel since they have never stayed at my home like that, and they know I don't let anyone stay over like that. Not even my parents or my boyfriend. They said they thought I had changed my mind about these things, but I never said I had. They just assumed I did. I live in an apartment alone, and even though there isn't a guest room, I have my old mattress that I could put on the living room or on my hobby's room, or they could sleep on the couch. But I refuse to do so and to pay or help pay for the hotel. They're both very annoyed with me and think I'm being selfish, but James, 25 male, is furious. He thinks I'm being ridiculous. Anna accepted to pay, but James wants to either go back or make me let them stay in my apartment. They're staying in a hotel at the moment, and we didn't do what we planned to yesterday. Anna texts me saying she's trying to convince James to stay in the hotel, and maybe she will, but nonetheless, they both think I should change my mind. The reason I don't want them or anyone to stay over is because it makes me very uncomfortable to have someone in my home while I am asleep or not there. I hate the idea of someone touching my things without my permission or seeing something I'd rather they not see, or even stealing something. And they know that, but thought I had become more lenient about it. I asked my parents and other friends what they think, and the general consensus is that it would be nice of me to let them stay, but since I know since I am known, okay, we're missing an in. I am known to be quite neurotic between our friends and family, and it's not like I told them I changed my view, nor implied they would stay. I wouldn't be in the wrong if I don't allow it. So after that long, arduous story, am I the asshole for not letting my friends stay over at my house when they traveled to visit and refusing to pay for their hotel?
There's definitely a few points here. Number one, 100%. And we have a bit for it. We're not doing the bit, but you need to communicate the plans. If the whole thing is for you guys to like hang out with each other, figure out all those things. Now, that's not necessarily on you if they don't initially either ask or, if that's not brought up. Typically what like you and I do, for example, we're just like, yeah, just crash here at the house. Like don't buy a hotel. That's extra money. We're totally fine with that. Usually, like any of my wife's friends, I'm totally fine. They can stay here. I don't really care. So based off of that alone and the lack of communication on both parties, but it's not your responsibility to host somebody if it's not brought up. Like if they're just coming back into town. Because, right, let's see. I-25 friends have friends, a couple that moved a while back to another state because of college and decided to stay there even after graduating. So you're from the place. They're, I don't know if they're from the place, but you were both in the place. They moved away and then decided to come back to visit. So yeah, I don't think that's necessarily your responsibility to host them. Part of me is thinking not the asshole, kind of softly leaning everyone sucks just for the lack of kind of communication between friends there. Um, but I don't know. What do you think? Also, I will add real quick while you're thinking, if you do, if you are super uncomfortable and think people are stealing or like getting into stuff they're not supposed to, might want to see some therapy about that. But that's a side note, not really part of it.
I think there's only one piece of context I'm missing from this story. And I really hope that the lousy listeners understand a bit of what I'm saying when I say this, because I know you will. It actually kind of coincides with what you said. At the beginning of this whole story, OP explains that they were friends for a very long time, even keeping in contact via text and video calls, which likely tells me they know each other very well.
Hmm.
They know that their friends are probably not the kind that would steal, cheat, dig through their stuff that isn't theirs. I gotta say, everyone sucks. I got to, because to me, it takes zero effort to be a good person. Zero effort. Especially to your friends, especially to the friends that are that close to you. And to me, this sounds like a situation where they are very close, but you're so stuck in your ways that you are causing your friends to financially put out when you could have just simply been like, because you even admitted to saying you could have put a mattress in the living room or in your hobbies room and everything would have been fine.
Yeah.
But you chose not to. Now, opposite side, same coin. Your friends should not have assumed they were staying with you. Much like to your point, whenever there's traveling happening or something like that, yes, you and I will absolutely tell each other, absolutely crash here at the house. Ain't no big deal. You don't need to go get a hotel. Don't waste that money. That's hundreds of dollars you ain't got to worry about. You come on and stay here. But the thing is, I'm not going to assume that's the case unless you tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
So with that, everyone's an asshole here. Everyone sucks. I mean, it's not your requirement. And I know the comments are gonna be like, it's not their requirement to go and take care of their friends. It's not, but it also takes zero effort to be a good friend. Like it takes zero effort, especially if they're coming to visit you. It takes zero effort to be a good person and go, you know what? Hey, just crash here. And to that point that you said about if you're that stressed about someone being in your personal space, go see some therapy. That's some psychological shit you got to work through, because, like if you can't trust your own friends to stay in your house while you're gone, that's something you got to work through.
There's definitely a problem there. And I agree with everything you say. The one thing that keeps me from saying everyone sucks about this, because I'm not trying to, and I'm not saying you are either, but I'm not trying to judge OP for having, kind of neurotic, weird tendencies. But the one sentence, at least according to the context here, and they know that, but they thought that I had become more lenient about it. So they made that assumption that they could just crash there. So
correct. And that's why I said
Yeah.
they also suck.
yeah, they definitely like, I mean, that's definitely 100% of they suck thing. But then that's also like, if they're aware that that's something that you're historically have not been comfortable with, but then said, fuck it, she's probably changed her mind by this point, then, you know, that like, I don't think I could really fault OP for that. So like, I'm still going to stick to not the asshole, but with a leaning to everyone sucks, because I think it's kind of weird, but you know, I'm not trying to judge OP because of that.
I'm going to say this not with the intent to change your mind, but the intent to kind of finalize my point, and maybe it will change your mind. Who knows? To your point, you're correct. Yes, they 1000% assumed, and the assumption was dead wrong. OP clearly stated, yeah, I've got space at my apartment. I just don't want anybody staying there. Okay. So to that point, right? Are they wrong for assuming? Yes. What's to say, right, that the day of everyone's there and now there's this big miscommunication because one party's stressed, now they've got to get a hotel, the other's stressed because they're like, oh well, you just assumed you could stay at my house. If you're that good of friends, what's to say, like, you know what, hey, I wish you would have talked to me about it before. It was a miscommunication. Like, clearly the assumption was made, no, I'm not comfortable with it, but I'll make the exception this time to help out. And make it very clear that this is the only time. If you're that not comfortable with it, I don't see where that could be a problem. I see where that's a fair and balanced means to you know, everyone being okay and taken care of.
Yeah.
Yes, that what you're doing at that point, especially if you're that good of friends, you can have that kind of talk with them, or you go, hey, look, I didn't appreciate you assuming, but I'm going to help you out this one time, you know, because I want to be able to hang out with my friends and see y'all and everyone be having a good time. You come stay with me, but this is the last time. I don't want it anymore. Like, I don't want that to happen anymore. You need to talk to me first.
Yeah.
Like, you're in your mid-20s. You should be able to have that kind of conversation.
You should. Yeah. That won't, and that's not going to change my vote. I'm still going to say no, not the assholes / everyone sucks. Like,
Okay.
soft everyone sucks. I'm assuming you're still going to stay everyone sucks, right?
Yeah, I'm everyone sucks on this one. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And then Reddit, they said not the asshole. So they're kind of leaning on that side of it. Let's see some comments. Let's see. You're right. So yeah, first one here, not the asshole. Who the fuck expects to just come crash at someone's house for 2 fucking weeks? Who the fuck plans a trip without having accommodations 100% squared away? Just basically what we were already saying.
I will say, if there's a funny story I have real quick. When I was living, when we were still living in Texas, I hosted a barbecue, and a bunch of friends flew in from different states. One of which flew in from North Carolina with no hotel to stay in. And the words I got when he told me, yeah, I got to go find a hotel. It's 11 o'clock the first night there. And I'm like, you have to do what? He goes, yeah, I got to go find a hotel. I didn't get one on the way down here. Didn't even think about it. And I was like, where are you going to stay? He goes, it'll buff. Okay. Like, I think in those situations, you got to have a clearer heads prevail. So,
yeah. Well, I think too, that's maybe a better way to handle, like, let's put that situation in this situation for a second. That's a better way to handle it, and just say, oh yeah, I got to find a hotel. I forgot to do that. Instead of saying, oh, I just assumed I could stay at your place. Now, I know those situations are slightly different from, like a good friend to like a best friend, but that at least invites the potential host to say, oh, just stay at mine. That's at least a more, it's slightly manipulative, but like, it's a way
just
to
touch.
It's a way to at least make it not as assumptive as what Opie's friends did here.
Well, let's go to the second comment, because this one, the first one leaned with you. This one leans with me.
Yeah.
Everyone sucks here. I'm amazed an adult would go on a 2-week trip without confirming arrangements. This is not something that should be assumed. That's nutty behavior indeed. But if you suspected that they might want to stay at yours, you should have asked the hotel question before they arrived. I find it nearly improbable that you made all these plans and never had a clue that they figured they would stay at your house.
That is a fair point, because if you're
That is
making
a
all the
very
plans,
fair point.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with my guns. It might lean a little bit more everyone sucks, but I'm still saying not the asshole, because it's still not the OB's responsibility. You know, at the end of the day, she's not the one traveling to them; they're traveling to her.
Well, let's do one more, shall we? Let's see if this will sway you a little bit.
Okay.
The third comment down also says everyone sucks here. Why wouldn't you all talk about this beforehand, especially for 2 weeks? That said, if someone travels to see me, I always offer to pay for or split the cost of hotel when I lived in a smaller space, especially if I was the one who invited them out. At the very least, I treat them to a nice dinner on me. I mean, do you know how much it's going to cost them to book 2 weeks of hotel at the last minute? You're kind of a shitty host, and I would probably go home and not visit you again if you did this to me.
Damn.
But it wouldn't happen because I would have asked if I could stay with you. Man, you guys.
So here's the thing. While I agree with all that, if you go back to the original post, third line, they decided to travel to the city I live in so we can spend time together. So they originated the plans, it sounds like. We can only go by the context on the post, right? So if they originate that, that's on them to find accommodation. So that's on them to ask you, hey, can I crash at yours, or should I get a hotel?
I would agree with you, but the context is still there that OP knew, you know, that conversation should have been had if they knew they were planning, like if they had a history of wanting to stay there.
I wouldn't say they had a history based off of the post. I think
It feels, I mean, it definitely feels that way. It feels like OP knew that there was an intent for them to stay there based on that the comment you made about, what was it?
Well, no, because they say,
and maybe she will, but nonetheless, they both think I should change my mind. Not that one. No, it's actually before that. Oh no, sorry. It's actually after that. I hate the idea of someone touching my things without my permission or seeing something I'd rather they not see, or even stealing something. And they know that, but they thought I'd become more lenient about it. So if they knew that, if you knew that, the conversation still should have been had in some capacity of, hey, where are you staying?
I agree that conversation should have happened much earlier. But then also it says much earlier in the main body of it, a day ago when they arrived, we were talking and I asked them what hotel they picked. They were confused and Anna asked what I meant. They thought they were going to stay at my apartment with me. So like as far as what you were saying earlier, they're the ones that are making all the assumptions. OP's not making any assumptions. Or no, OP is making an assumption that they're staying at a hotel. I should clarify that. But
yes,
yeah.
But there's a big or here that I think we don't have the context of. We can't add the context of it, but the question would linger a little bit. It sounds like the conversation had already happened before, but never actually came to a conclusion.
I'm not getting that based off the post here, like at all.
Why would you just suddenly ask somebody where you're staying tonight?
Because they are making that assumption. That's why I'm doing leaning everyone sucks. OP is assuming that they just got a hotel because they never asked.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the conversation had to have happened beforehand, and OP is now assuming, like to your degree, OP is now assuming, oh, you're staying in a hotel. I think we stayed on the story for a little too long, but
yeah.
My final point is I feel like there may have been a conversation beforehand that did not come to a conclusion in which both parties assumed the opposite. And then that did not get rectified until they arrived. And now OP's assuming they're staying at a hotel and they're assuming they're staying at OP's place. Nonetheless, I still say everyone sucks.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my guns. My final point is nothing in this article to me states that there's an assumption of a conversation of where they're staying before they got there. I think it was just two assumptions on both sides, and they were both very wrong. So, yeah,
Oh,
we've
very
spent
wrong.
way too much time on this one. So yeah, let's move
Yeah.
on.
Let us know what you think. We kind of went down a rabbit hole on that one, but
Yep.
moving on.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video so far. While you're here, click the subscribe button to become a lousy listener. And also click that join button. For $2.99, you can have access to exclusive emotes and also get some cool features like interacting with Joe and I. Also, click the link in the description to join our Discord. Back to the video.
Sam, you're up.
Yep. Next one up. Am I the asshole for being upset by my husband's solo vacation travel? I, 40 female, have a wonderful, loving husband, 40 male. He's an involved father. He pitches in with the housework, and he makes enough money for us to be very comfortable while I stay home with our 2 young children. I worked before kids, intend to go to again once they're both school age. He's the love of my life. He's wonderful when he's here. He has a dear friend living in a different city 5 hours away, who he usually visits for 2 to 3 days twice a month. A few times a year, they tend to take a longer 4 to 6 day trip. To take longer 4 to 6 day trips. It adds up to a lot of time away, but it's in manageable increments and in service to an important friendship that I wouldn't want him to miss out on. Last fall, they took a 2-week trip abroad. I knew about it well in advance and was fine with it. I figured it was a one every few years sort of thing. A month or so after the trip, he tells me they're planning another overseas trip for this spring. This time, it's a place I've always wanted to go. We had previously started to plan the trip there ourselves, but decided it would have to wait until the kids were older. I told him I wasn't happy, but somewhat grudgingly gave my blessing to what was supposed to be a 7 to 10 day trip. Same goes for another 5 to 7 day trip abroad. They decided to plan for the summer, again to a place we had previously talked about going together when kids are older. And then I found out that the first spring trip and then the summer trip had ballooned into 3 weeks each. I got upset. I cried and told him I felt betrayed and abandoned, like he was leaving me here to raise the kids. Both trips will now cause him to miss significant kid-related events he knew about before planning, while he just goes on doing what he wants and living his life without me. He found my response really hurtful, that I would act like he's abandoning me and the kids, and said that he deserves to have meaningful friendships and see beautiful things. Am I being unreasonable about this? I feel like I might be, because I haven't done a good job balancing parenthood in my own social life. I basically don't have one anymore, and worry I might be speaking from a place of envy than fairness. And we do also take trips together as a family, but 2 months of international travel in the span of a year seems like a lot. And when you also add on the bi-monthly hanging out, that's about 4 months out of town with his friend. I can count on one hand the number of solo days out I've had in the last 3 years with any of my friends. And so again, I'm not sure how much this is envy versus unfairness. No, I haven't yet insisted he cancel any of his trips, but want to ask he at least scale the summer trip back to 1 week instead of 3. So bonus, would I be the asshole if I insisted he scale back the summer trip to 1 week?
Sam, can you put the ball on the tee for me real quick?
Yeah, hang on.
It's not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Yeah.
Look, I'm a bust it down real simple. This one is open closed for me.
Yep.
You could look at it from two perspectives. You could look at it from not having kids and having kids. Okay. Yes, friendships are important. Yes, making that time for yourself is important. Absolutely couldn't agree more. You need to be able to have individuality amongst your marriage so that way you don't have a stale marriage, and also be able to, be excited for the things that they're growing with and the things they're doing and the big, achievements in your partner's life. That said, that's a lot of fucking vacation time.
Yeah.
And a lot of time away from your kids. I was just actually having a conversation about this. I was just on the phone about it about 2 or 3 days ago. And I had a revelation of how much I had changed as an individual after having kids. And the realization was, the revelation, so to speak, was that I had changed so astronomically from who I was before having kids to now having kids. But it was for the better, because in certain capacities, you need to change when you become a parent. You need to evolve. You need to understand that there is a life you were once leading and a life you are now leading. And that life you are now leading is not only that of you, but you as a father, as a teacher, as a protector, as a breadwinner if you need to be that. However, you also need to remember you have a partner involved in that. And the hierarchy should in fact be you and your partner, your kids, right close to one another. But your partner needs to come first. You're a team. You two take care of those kids. This is a partner who does not see that. What he's seeing clearly is, I'm the breadwinner, I work. She gets to stay home all day. So she's down here with the kids.
Yep.
I'm putting myself first. That's not right. If you're feeling abandoned, by the way, W's for actually communicating.
Yeah.
Like actually telling your partner how you're feeling about this. To conclude everything I said, this person is not for equal. It's I above everyone. And that automatically makes them an asshole. OP is not an asshole, nor would you be an asshole for insisting to scale back the summer trip, because you listen to every reason possible. One of the most, in my opinion, would be the fact that you're going to be missing so many of your kids' events. That's just me.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
not the asshole.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I'll keep it short to just say OP was very accommodating into letting that friendship, stay as it was. It sounds like OP's husband is kind of just taking advantage of that and is just trying to get us far away for as long as he can. For being gone for basically a third of the year is ridiculous. If it's not like a work related thing, like if it's just purely fun travel, especially if OP hasn't really left the house really ever, that's not effective partnership. That's two separate people doing two separate things, which that's not what it should be. So yeah, not the asshole. And Reddit easily agrees, not the asshole.
Yeah, absolutely not the asshole. Let's read some comments real quick. Let's see. First comment here. You're not the asshole, but I do think you're not facing a harsh truth. This dear friend is more than that. He has a live-in nanny and housekeeper who lets him to take off and travel whenever and to wherever he at his leisure. Use his time away for a month to secure a job and nanny, then file for divorce and custody. I wish you well. Holy
There's Reddit.
shit.
I was wondering how fast Reddit would pop up here, but apparently very fast. Jeez.
The comment right beneath that, I've never been so sure someone has a second family, even if it's just another spouse.
I mean, if it is, it is. But I mean, making that assumption off rip is a bit crazy. Second one here. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. Yeah.
Second one here, not the asshole. His amount of travel is way too much. I strongly suspect your husband is having an affair with his quote unquote friend or using that friend as cover for an affair.
I was really hoping that OP was going to comment on some things or maybe even have an update post for us, but no.
Yeah, it's
unfortunately not.
Pushing a little far there, Reddit. But
yeah,
whatever. I don't think we need to dwell on it.
No, this is a telltale of somebody who's just not recognizing the requirements they signed up for and taking advantage of the opportunity of the leniency of their partner to go have fun with their friend.
Yep.
Like, I think of it like this. If this was me and you, right? And I was one skedaddling off, there's no side piece It's just me and Sam going and doing some heinous shit. We're just living life and fucking we're probably on Harleys hauling ass across the U.S. or some shit. I don't know. Like you can't just assume that we're out there like secretly in marriages and shit. It's Reddit's gonna Reddit, dude. Reddit's gonna Reddit.
Reddit's gonna Reddit. But
all right, last up. Let's bring it home. Am I the asshole for not changing holiday plans so my wife can see her family and telling her to travel alone? My wife and I have been married for 10 years and have 2 kids, 6 and 3. We moved to a new city for my wife's job before we had kids, so we are no longer close to either of our families. We had previously lived close enough to both our families that we could see each of them, during the holidays, but since we moved, we had to pick one or the other. My parents also moved after they retired, so now we would have to fly to see either of our families. So we came up with a plan to rotate holidays every other year. Of course, that last couple of years, this sounds oddly familiar.
Not to me.
Okay. We're going to keep going here. So we came up with a plan to rotate holidays every other year. Of course, the last couple of years, we have not seen either of them. 2 years ago, it was supposed to be my family's year, but we didn't travel for Christmas because we didn't want to travel with our youngest. Last year was supposed to be my wife's year, but we didn't travel for obvious reasons. That would be the vid. So this year, I was excited to finally see my family again for Christmas. We booked our flights months ago, and I've really been looking forward to it. My wife was on board with it until a few weeks ago. She was talking with her mom one day, and mother-in-law mentioned that all of my wife's siblings are coming to their place for Christmas. My wife's siblings are scattered across the U.S., and it's rare that they all get together in one place. When my wife found out, she felt extremely left out and asked if we could switch our plans to see her family instead, even though we already had plans to see my family and it was my scheduled year. I was kind of upset by this because I felt that my wife was putting her family above mine and going against our holiday schedule agreement when we already had it planned. We kind of fought about it because I didn't want to change our plans, and she felt I was being too rigid in our planning, and that this was a special circumstance because her entire family would be there, and that never happens. Both of us miss seeing our families for Christmas since it's been 3 to 4 years since we spent the holidays with them. My wife is continuing to push me to change our plans, and I don't want to budge. When she brought it up again the other day, I finally kind of snapped at her. I told her that if she wants to go see her family, she can do it, but she'll be going alone. I told her I will take the kids to see my family and she can go see hers by herself. She told me that I was being a jerk about it and that I should be more understanding of her desire to see her family. I told her she was completely disregarding my family and that I offered a compromise, but I don't want to change our entire plan just because her siblings decided they want to get together this year. I told her next year we will go to see her family just like we agreed, but she didn't like that because she doesn't think her siblings will be there next year. We haven't come to a resolution yet, and my wife is pissed at me for not changing our plans or for thinking my compromise is even an acceptable idea because she doesn't want to be away from her kids for Christmas. So again, am I the asshole for not changing holiday plans so my wife can see her family and telling her to travel alone?
So just to make sure I got the timeline right, they were going to go travel 1 year, but couldn't because of the youngest. They were going to go travel. So I should back up. They were going to go travel to OP's family 1 year, but couldn't because of the youngest. Next year, the vid took over. And so that's 2 years, technically 3 if they were supposedly at the wife's house or wife's family's the year before that. So it's been 3-4 years since they've seen OP's family. And now wife wants to change that up, which I mean, technically they didn't go to her family's house for 2. So, I mean, as far as fair is fair, I see where OP's coming from. I do see kind of where the wife's coming from as far as like, you know, it's rare for the whole family to get together like that. I don't really see that as much of an excuse, but I'm also not like, I don't have big extended family or anything like that that get excited to see each other like that. So like, I can't really relate on that side. So I mean, like if it's been 3 to 4 years since they've spent with, you know, with OP's family, and she's wanting to add that to make it 4 to 5, that just seems a little unfair. So yeah, I think I gotta agree with OP here and say not the asshole.
I can understand the special circumstance. I can understand it enough to come to terms with where wife is on this.
Yeah.
That being said, I hate to say it, but OP's not wrong here. They've had plans set in stone for months. Tickets have been bought. Everything's in order and ready to go. And you're talking about how long was this before the things went down? It was just a few weeks ago, the post, like when this post was put in. You're telling me like now all of that needs to be erased because of a circumstance that wasn't told to you until well after? Like this is one of those times where look, I really think a lot of people, I'm not going to say everyone, but I do think a lot of people, when they say their vows in their marriage, they think it's just something to say at the altar to kind of just like, you know, seal it and deliver it and call it a day, right? No, you are a partner who needs to work together. Sometimes you're going to make decisions that you don't like. And guess what? That's okay. Why? Because you sacrifice for your partner. In those situations just like this, neither of you have seen your families in a very long time. Don't start weighing fucking time who's got more minutes in the bucket, because that's just going to make you really bitter towards one another. It's like if your partner were to ask you a question, you give them an answer, you go, no, you're wrong. And they start Google searching it right in front of you. Like, if you're going to fact check me, do it after the fact when we're not mad about this, when we're not having a debate about it.
Yeah.
You and your wife made a decision. You made an agreement. You're sticking to the agreement. Your wife, I hate to say this, you can offer the opportunity, but you cannot mandate that opportunity. You cannot mandate that change. It is not going to just suddenly snap and boom, everyone's going in your direction. You have to understand that you may hear the 2 letters you don't want to hear ever. No. So yeah, not the asshole.
Yeah.
For a second, I was leaning everyone sucks, but the more I think about it, it's like, this isn't just you two. This is y'all and the kids and the families involved. Everyone's been happy this whole time. It's just shitty circumstance as to what was taking place at that time. It's tough circumstance with y'all having a newborn at the time. It's, you know, there's circumstances that come into play that don't immediately impact where you are now. They don't impact where you are now as far as the who's going where when. You're keeping the same plan, the same cycle going. Y'all agreed to go to his.
Should be as simple as that, but
So with that, not the asshole.
yeah, not the asshole. And Reddit, they agree, not the asshole.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's not quite open shut, but it's close. You know, it's...
Well, I'm curious what these comments are going to say, because I feel like someone might go off on a tangent here, but...
Yeah. Yeah, our first one here is not the asshole. Neither of you have seen your families in 2 years. You have an agreement when it comes to holidays and already bought tickets. She was fine with this until she heard all her siblings were going to be there. I'm surprised everyone thinks it's okay to cancel plans to see your family just because her siblings decided last minute that they all will be visiting her parents at the same time. It really does show a disregard for your family and your desire to see your family. I don't really know what the solution is because if you do give in, you aren't going to be happy and probably won't enjoy the visit with her family. If she sticks with the original plan, she won't be happy or enjoy the visit with your family. I think you're going to resent each other no matter what. Nobody is going to enjoy the holidays, even if you go to visit your families separately. I mean, I don't know if resent is going to that's might be a little bit of a stretch. I think they can work through it. It's just going to be, you know, wife's got to take a fucking chill pill.
I mean, look, I'm kind of stuck in my ways on this one. OP has no reason to be looked at as the bad guy here.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's a very fair and valid reasoning, like I said, to come to someone and go, hey, I know we have all these plans. Here's a proposition based on the information I was provided. If you go into that knowing that the person's going to say no by some slim chance, good. Keep yourself on the straight and narrow, right? Keep your head right, because at least you know that the possibility of a no happening is real, and you can account for that in the aftermath of going, hey, now we're going to his. We already made the plan. You know what? I'll just have to take the gamble and see y'all next year.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I do agree with that last line, though. I think you're going to resent each other no matter what, and nobody's going to enjoy the holidays, even if you go to visit your family separately. I think visiting your family separately is a horrid idea. Because, especially for the kids' part, like, you have to remember, you and your partner, your kids, they're right there. And they're seeing everything that's happening. And if they suddenly say, oh, well, we're going with dad over to grandma and grandpa's over here, where's mom going? Questions are raised. Kids want to see mama. Mama ain't there. It's going to be a lot of bullshit. It's going to be a lot of nonsense, a lot of heartache. You don't want to go through that.
Yep.
So I do think that the resentment would happen if he gave in and went to her folks, because also his parents would be like, yo, why aren't y'all coming here? That was the plan. But I agree with you that wife needs to take a chill pill here. Like, you need to understand that sometimes it's okay to hear the word no.
Yep.
So that's all I got on this one. I don't even need another comment. I think that comment was actually really good.
Yep. I'm fine with that.
Cool. Let us know what you think. As always, drop some timestamps down below. There's a lot of juicy ones here, and a lot of avenues that we could have gone down on this, on every single one of these stories, if I'm being honest with you. So let us know your take in the comments down below. If you have nothing else to say, drop your favorite emote or emoji or emoticon or however far back you want to go. Okay, Boomer.
Right, parentheses.
Less than 3.
8 equals capital D.
80085.
Classic. Yep.
Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and we'll see y'all on Tuesday. Bye.